Hello, I'm Chris Hartwell, and welcome to the Heartbeat. Today we're going to be talking about Shane Black's The Nice Guys. Join me, won't you? So, in The Nice Guys, we are introduced to Holland March, a rather lonely, unfortunately alcoholic private eye whose bright-minded and morally pure daughter, Holly, really only highlights his numerous inadequacies, and to make his life that much worse after being paid to track down someone who really doesn't want to be tracked down, he is quite quickly introduced to Jackson Healy and his fists, both of which are basically paid to go around and punch people. Quite soon, though, the two are actually thrown back together to solve a missing persons case involving a young girl named Amelia, who seems to have fallen in with the wrong crowd. And from there, all manner of mystery, death, and hilarity ensues. And I, for one, have got to say, I really enjoyed pretty much every single minute of it, which in large part was really due to the film's co-writer and director, Shane Black, whose other films include Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Iron Man 3. Now, I've previously described how some writers and directors approach filmmaking from the mindset that it's their job to be as invisible as possible and to kind of get out of the way of the story. And though this could certainly make sense for certain films, like those based upon real events, most of the time I couldn't disagree more. Films, for me, are almost as much about getting to know those behind the camera as those in front. And when filmmakers are willing to passionately and boldly put their one-of-a-kind stamp on a project, that's when we get films as enjoyably distinct as Shane Black's, which is part of the reason why I still do defend Iron Man 3 as much as I do. Though Black did, in one sense, admittedly spoil an iconic comic book character, he did so in a way that did anything but spoil that film. In fact, his decision to reveal Trevor behind the Mandarin icon, or armor, so to speak, was not only unexpected and hilarious, but also bolstered that film with its unique style, tone, and theme, which in an industry that can so often just crank out these run-of-the-mill, cookie-cutter blockbusters, I found to be both brave and thrilling. And even while I can praise Iron Man 3, I'm not saying that it was a perfect film, nor even Black's best, some of which just came from that unavoidable need to play inside that Marvel-shaped sandbox, which is why I was so excited walking into The Nice Guys, knowing that he could be his full, unadulterated, quirky, bizarre, and vulgar self. And boy was he, and boy was it great. As every minute of this film ticked by, I was so clearly reminded in a very entertaining way who Mr. Black is, how he sees the world, and what narrative devices he loves to use to explore it. And one of those devices is the film noir genre, which really did work perfectly for the private investigator mystery found in this film. And as we've already seen on Lethal Weapon, Iron Man 3, and especially Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, this really is a writer who loves to be clever, and there are few other genres better suited for cleverness than mystery. And so one of the most enjoyable aspects of The Nice Guys was just seeing how everything was woven together and connected in some way, each piece of information being so specifically and intentionally placed, which was made all the more brilliant as all of those pieces weren't ever dropped initially in a way that felt incomplete or set-up-y. They would be used as a standalone joke, or perhaps some piece of texture to fill out the world, only to come back later, tying into the overall plot. Then even while I, as a screenwriter and a director, was able to recognize just how methodically constructed this film was, it was also able to keep me on my toes by possessing this very loose stream of consciousness feeling, and also being willing to very abruptly go left after two whole acts of seeming preparations to go right. And also the film noir genre was just really fun to see set in the 1970s, and even though the original draft, which was written all the way back in 2001, was actually set in the modern day, and is proven by Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, would have still allowed Black to explore the rotting, intoxicated side of Hollywood high life, covered by its veneer of glamour and happiness, there was something about the 70s that allowed those parties to both realistically and absurdly get turned up to 11. Some of the images on this film are just so completely wacky, it is a small miracle that the director was so effortlessly able to make them congeal together. And it was also great just seeing his experience with VFX from Iron Man 3 really paying off on this film, as we were so seamlessly taken back to a Los Angeles of 40 years ago, with its highways covered in the cars of that time and its skies filled with the far thicker smog of that time. And another obvious staple to film noir is the voiceover, which for a writer who is obsessed with words and revealing characters through them is just perfect. And on top of that, in a Shane Black film, populated with Shane Black characters, there is just something so appropriately depressing and lonely about the way that he uses voiceover, almost like he's saying, even with all their cleverness, or perhaps because of all of their cleverness, these characters still have no one else to talk to but you, the viewer. And speaking of those characters, both Gosling and Crowe just crushed these roles, both in a way playing the same man, just at different ages and differing stages of pessimism, brokenness, and depravity. And it was particularly rewarding watching Gosling playing something other than the heartthrob or the sullen tough guy, which is not to say he doesn't rock both of those roles, or even hasn't shown us his range in films like Lars and the Real Girl, but just to see him so thoroughly and bravely embrace this really sleazy, amoral wimp of a private eye really was a delight, and made all the more delightful when it was placed right next to Crowe's character, who I think more than any other person on this film did kind of represent Shane Black's own personal form of pessimism, that being life can and does often stink. People die. They remain unfound. They return to alcoholism and are just generally unable to claim their hopes and dreams. But from Shane Black's perspective, that doesn't mean that they need to despair or can't laugh along the way. And Russell's weary and worn face, still possessing those glimmering eyes, so perfectly captures all of that. And that balance is really something I cannot compliment enough on this film. Just that balance between that despair and the hope that Black finds in family and friends, which was most prominently displayed in March's daughter, Holly, played brilliantly and without a trace of her accent, I might add, by Australian actress Angourie Rice. But also there was a balance between the comedy and the drama. This film wasn't just uproariously funny, it was also in certain moments dramatic and even poignant, and the fact that they were able to segue so seamlessly between the two really was no small feat. So all of this to say, I really did enjoy The Nice Guys. I found it to be funny, zany, vulgar, depressing, and even sometimes just a little bit sweet. In short, it was Shane Black. And for all these reasons, I will give a 4 out of 5. I would still love to know what you guys thought of the film, so definitely comment below and let me know. Do you enjoy the fact that Shane Black has returned to smaller films like this and like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang? Are you looking forward to the fact that he's kind of moving back to bigger ones next with his Predator film? Comment below and let me know. Also, please do subscribe. I'm going to continue to review films and television on this channel, and I would love for you to stay up to date on all of those things. But for now, I'm Chris Hartwell. This is The Heartbeat. Thank you for joining me.